comes to another potential housing crisis now, and they're calling it the bedroom tax or under-occupancy penalties. And it's about to hit tens of thousands of people here in the East Midlands. From April, the government's bringing in changes which mean people on housing benefit living in homes deemed too big for them could lose up to a quarter of their income. Patsy Francis has been to meet one of them.
Pippo, hurry.
It's a home that's full of life but officially under-occupied. Jill McDermott lives on her own in her two-bedroom flat in Derby. She regularly looks after her 9 grandchildren. Today it's Harry, but 3 of her grandchildren live with her for half of the week.
Patsy.
Jill's also the full-time carer for her father who lives nearby.
Come on, Grandad.
She gets benefits of £90 a week, but under the new rules, she'll lose £11 a week because she's living in a flat with more bedrooms than she needs.
You know, my situation is this is my home. I gave up a well-paying job to look after me dad. I'm saving the government already hundreds and hundreds of pounds a week if I wouldn't do it or couldn't do it and he had to be in a nursing home. So, you know, why do you want to take another £11 a week off me? In my situation, I consider people in my situation should be exempt.
Well, let's leave Harry and Jill while we have a look around the flat. It's all on the ground floor. This is the kitchen, Jill's bedroom, and this is the spare room that's causing all the problems. And it's not just Jill. Tens of thousands of people across the East Midlands will be affected. The Housing Association, which owns Jill's flat, says around 1,000 of its tenants are in a similar situation. It's taken on 3 debt advisors to help them.
So you've got this bedroom.
I've got this bedroom, and then I've got Casey's bedroom.
You know, we know on average that it's going to be about £12 a week per room, so possibly £50 a month that people will have to find. Now, some people are able to do that. They're able to go out and maybe work some additional hours if they're lucky enough to have employment. So not everybody will, we anticipate, be going into debt, but certainly a significant proportion will struggle.
I'm not asking for more money, just don't take any more off me. I can't give anything else up. I don't smoke. I can't give anything else up. No phone line, no contents insurance, no cable, no jewellery, don't own a single piece of jewellery, savings gone. What, you can't get blood out of stone. It's not a case of I don't want to pay. I can't pay it.
It's thought 40,000 people across the East Midlands could be hit by the changes. They'll have to find the extra money for the rent themselves, move to smaller accommodation, or even face the prospect of eviction.
Yeah, oh.
Gorgeous. Now, Chris Hobson, you're the East Midlands lead manager of the National Housing Federation. How typical is Jill's situation?
It's very typical, I'm afraid. There are a number of people who will have an extra room in a house for all sorts of reasons. It might be that they have their children staying over at the weekend and they're separated. It could be someone who has a disabled member of the family and they need that spare room in order to keep equipment. So 40,000 families, working age people, that's almost 1/3 of the total housing benefit claimants in the region.
Are going to be hit by this?
Absolutely, it's going to be big.
Well, Richard, let me bring you in here. As a leader of a council, you're the person that's going to have to implement this. How are you going to tackle it?
Well, the first thing I say is your timing is brilliant. This is the time we need to talk about this issue because we've got some month to identify
Till
it.
April, yes.
Yeah, we've worked out in North West Leicestershire, we've got about 550 people who we think, in principle, could be affected by this. So what we're going to do is not just send letters out, we're going to actually meet them on door to door and find out those people, find out their situations. So by the time the actual changes come in...
So you're going to be inspecting their proproperties to find out what their sleeping arrangements are?
Not at all, no. We know the number of bedrooms in the houses. We're just going to actually talk to them about their situation, about how they're using their rooms and what they want to do and their financial situation. So we'll at least be able to get down to the numbers if we're going to be affected.
And do you think this is a good policy?
I think the problem is there's only one simple figure, and that's £21 billion of our money gets spent on housing benefit. Do you know what? Doing nothing isn't an option as far as I'm concerned. We needed to do something about it. This is going to be part of a huge change that we're going to see in housing benefit. You've seen it before, the general idea that people who are not working should not be better off than those who are not working.
Doing nothing is not an option, Alan Meal.
Well, that's not exactly correct, that. I think what we need to do, remember what period of time we're in at the moment. We're in recession. We're in a double dip recession, and we're talking about the poorest people in our communities in the East Midlands. And here we are, we're going around saying if we can take out a bedroom, give them less because they're not using a particular bedroom. It's very family and people unfriendly, this. I mean, look for a start. Look for the situation where you've got people who've had marriage breakups, and you've got one person who's kept themselves in work, unfortunately because of the recession have lost their job. Here they are, they want access to their children. They want their children to come and spend time with them.
And
of course, if they can only have one bedroom, no children to spend time with the parent in the house.
And what happens though, Chris, when someone like Jill says she can't pay? She's got nothing left.
She's going to really struggle, and a lot of people are going to really struggle. There's a lot of people at the moment who are just getting by, food bills going up, energy prices are going up. To take out £12 a week from someone on a low incomes budget, that's a big hit, and so people are going to struggle.
And are there enough one-bedroom homes for all these people to go into? That's the big question,
Well,
isn't
there
it?
aren't. This is it. Policy is over the past few years has led to us getting rid of those types of properties to develop more family-type properties. So even if people do want to move, it's not a given that they'll be able to. And in terms of the impact of the need to cut housing benefit, I think we're all agreed that it's high. But what happens is when you try and make big cuts, and we're looking to save 2.1 billion by 2014-15 in a very small space of time, sometimes the policy just doesn't match up with the reality. And what you're doing is you're not cutting the tab here, you're moving it because there will be a cost.
Are you not worried about this then, Richard? Because I know I've spoken to Nottingham City Council this week and they are worried. They've told us it's a half-baked, harmful and costly measure. I guess the worry is it's going to cause more problems than we've already got.
This is the world we're in. Absolutely everything we do is doing less money. All the councils have got 12% less money
So
year
you say
on
this
year.
is the world we're in, we've just got to put up with it?
I think every single person I know is feeling worse off than they were last year. That's just a fact. There's not a single person, if they're self-employed, employed by the state, whatever they're doing, they feel worse off. And really this is affecting all of us, and we've just got to get better value out of this massive bill we're paying.
It sounds harsh, I guess, Alan, doesn't it? But if you're not on benefits and your situation changes, the chances are that you'll think about or possibly actually downsize. So this proposal is fair, isn't it?
This is not about downsizing. We've just seen a lady on there is actually in her predicament, in her situation. She's a full-time carer. We're not talking about people who have giant houses here. They perhaps have one bedroom more. Two elderly people get into a stage of their life where they both have illnesses. They sleep in separate rooms. They're going to be mitigated against because of all
What's your answer
this.
then? What would you do?
There are billions of pounds of unpaid tax. What I'm saying and what other politicians are saying, let's go out there and let's get that. We're in a city now, Nottingham, which has thousands of people who work in the tax trade, collecting money. Why, instead of making tax collectors redundant, why don't we get them out there collecting these people who are not paying the correct amount of tax? Get the money that way, not actually punishing people.
Well, what is your main fear, really, your biggest fear about this being implemented in April?
We're already seeing homelessness in the region rise. Over the past 2 years, homelessness acceptances have risen by 24%.
It's gone up a quarter, hasn't it?
People are just getting by, and this is going to push more people over the edge. And there are massive costs. It's going to really kind of have a big impact on communities. And if people think that this might not be something that directly affects them now, well, as time goes by, they'll realise it's much closer to home. These aren't. I think some sections of the media or some policymakers sometimes try and paint a picture of who, the scrounger on benefits. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the lady in a situation there. We're talking about, I had a conversation just this week with a woman who's separated from her partner. He lives close to the school, so the children stay with him during the week and she has them at the weekend. She really can't afford to move out of that house. She's a community nurse.
Well, if people did have a spare room that they felt happy enough to rent it out, could they do that?
Yes, they can. That's part of the thing we're going to encourage. I think it's just using the space that we've got available. We can't create enough social housing to meet all the needs. And there is a case that sometimes people don't move because it's not really in their interest. And there is a hardship fund. I mean, it's going to make a difference. If anybody comes through, they will get the chance to
Let's just go back to that case again, that old lady there. What happens in that particular situation, she's got nothing to sell, she's got no money coming in from any other direction. It's going to cost her money which she can't afford, she's going to go into debt. The next case is, and he knows as a council leader, he's going to issue a recovery notice which will cost £70 even if the lady turned up and paid all of her debt at that particular, but she can't pay. So what happens is they go for more. She comes back again. By this time it's up to £300 extra.
Any chance the government will think again about this?
There's no choices. They're running out of money. We've known that. It was said by Liam Byrne as he left the offices, there's no more money left. back when the general election took place. We know, everybody knows, every single person in this country knows, we haven't got enough money for all the things we want. We've just got to make sure everybody shares.
But in Britain, we have a welfare state. It's not just about the National Health Service. It's a thing which catches everybody who falls through the net, and this is part of it.
Okay. Chris Hobson, thanks very much for coming to the studio and talking to me about this. Thank you.